Welcome back to Simplyrobotixpod, the podcast. I'm your host, Monique, and this is a podcast about the animation industry and all things related. Today, we're finally going to be doing a series review, something that I've expressed I want to do for a while, and the series is Maya and the Three. This was created by Jorge Guiterrez. It is on Netflix, came out 2021, currently on season 1. On Netflix, it says this is a limited season. I should also say that going forward, when I'm doing series reviews, I'm only going to talk about the first 3 episodes because there's a lot of stuff I want to check out, and I do not have the time to watch an entire series. So I'm going to watch 3 episodes and I'm going to talk about it. So here's the plot for Maya and the Three via Netflix. It says a spirited princess with the heart of a warrior embarks on a mission to fulfill an ancient prophecy and save humanity from the wrath of vengeful gods. So I'm going to start with chapter 1, aka episode 1. It's called Quinceañera. And this is Maya's coronation. However, the morning of, she is nowhere to be found. Maya is a Tekka princess, and she's a very rebellious one at that. The night before her coronation, she goes to a fighting ring and she partakes. She calls herself Eagle Claw. And she gets very close to winning. Something happens, and then she and the fighter, they basically have a draw. She kind of knocks his teeth, punches him in the jaw, and he punches her in the eye. So once she's found and brought back home, she has a black eye on the day of her coronation and a broken arm at that, because she fell a decent distance, and she just, whatever. When Maya's mom learns that she was out fighting before, she takes her fighting mask, if you think of Mexican culture, Libre, if you remember that show, Lucha Libre. Why am I tongue in the words? The letters. They had a mask. So her mom ripped the mask, and then Maya, being the teenager that she is, says some pretty hurtful things to her mom. And I was like, that's very relatable, because the whole relationship dynamic between a teenage girl and a mother is just, it's one for the books, right? So another thing that I wanted to point out was in this episode, people from the different worlds, if you will, communities, tribes, I think is a better word, they come for the quinceañera, the coronation. And there was a character called the Gran Bruja. Now, I was like, hold up, Jorge, what are you doing here? What is this? And it was because her character design, really, she was black, she was fat, and let's just say her character designs could be perceived as a bit crude. So for me, it was feeling a bit minstrel, and I wasn't in a hurry to cut it off. I wanted to see it through. And then I also realized later learned that the Gran Bruja is voiced by Queen Latifah. And I really enjoyed that. It was after the fact, I heard her voice, and I just love when a celebrity's voice isn't overpowering the character that they are playing, right? So, at the coronation, as it's starting, there's this character, this guy who's the Prince of Bats, and he comes and he basically says hey, the goddess of death, she wants Maya. It's time. Maya has to come back with her, and blah, 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 blah. And Maya's parents are like, hold up, that's not happening. And there's a whole spiel about that, right? Which leads into episode 2, the prophecy. So here we learn in this episode that Maya's dad, they actually say verbatim, cheated on Maya's mom. And I was like, ain't this a kid show? We're talking about infidelity on a kid show. We're talking about babies outside of the relationship at hand on a kid show. I was like, oh, okay. So anyways, Maya's dad cheated on Maya's mom with the death goddess, and then spirit or whatever, a spirit that reminded me very much of Princess Mononoke, comes from the forest or whatever, and it's here's your baby. And the mother took her in. So Maya felt a little bit of resentment for what she had said in the first episode, So we also learn in this episode that Maya's family misunderstood the prophecy, and that it is Maya actually, not the 3 jaguars, Maya and a different set of 3 warriors are the ones that need to fulfill the prophecy. So she basically gets ready to embark on this journey. And for me, it's this second episode where the show, rightfully so, started to pick up. And I was appreciative of that because I was like, where is this going, right? So we see Maya fight this tattoo princess, and the Prince of Bats is like up in a tree, and he gets to a point where he's like, this tattoo princess is doing the most. We know Maya needs to be brought back to the death goddess and whoever, the god of war in alive, because she has to be sacrificed. So you can't kill her, you're trying to kill her for sport or whatever. So the Prince of Bats basically sets Maya free and encourages her to fulfill the prophecy. So that makes me wonder, like, what does he have to gain from this, right? I should have said in the very beginning that this was going to be so spoiler filled because I am really going into it, but I'm leaving a little bit of mystery, right? So the second episode also makes it clear that Maya is going to have to fight different gods and goddesses along the way. Basically every episode, this girl's not going to catch a break. So moving on to episode 3, and this is called The Rooster. This is where Maya gets her first warrior, or the first warrior joins Maya on this quest. So also in this episode, we learn that the Prince of Bats is half human, half god. So he's very similar to Maya. So that further makes me wonder, what does he have to gain from this? So they go to Maya goes to Luna Island, and this is where all the black people are. And I loved seeing black people. I love seeing the Afro-Latinx people speaking Spanish. I loved it so much. In my previous episodes about Chico and Rita, I didn't mention this too much in my Encanto episode, but when I see that really on screen, it makes me feel seen. It makes me feel like my people to a certain extent. I'm just waiting to start seeing West Indian culture in animated films and shows and stuff like that. And then I'd really feel like I have arrived, right? Okay, but anyways. So now that we're here in Luna Island and seeing more black people, the character designs really started to grow on me, and I started to really like them. So we also meet a character, the Grand Brujo, and that is the Grand Bruja's father, and Rico. And the Grand Brujo said that Rico was like the next amazing wizard. However, when Rico was a child, he casted a spell that ended up killing the Gran Brujo. And it was unfortunate. It wasn't intentional. It was like he just happened to be a casualty, right? So he's basically been like, he hasn't been exiled, but he's kind of become like an outcast in the town, right? So Rico ends up joining Maya because the Gran Bruja, she basically wants him out of here. She doesn't want to see him. She wants nothing to do with him. Go on his journey or whatever. And it's cute. It's really cute how they come to be. They end up fighting a god and a goddess that they thought was trying to help them get to the jungle kingdom or the jungle lands. That's where we see a lot of like the skull creatures. And if you think of like the Day of the Dead and stuff like that, we see a lot of those type of looking characters. But these two, god and goddess, they like trick them or whatever. They fight them. The goddess ends up like turning against the god, like her partner. And she tells Maya, like, I'm here for you anytime you need me. Just hit me up. Let me know. I got you. And that's the first 3 episodes. So overall, I'm really enjoying the show. It's been so difficult to not watch more, to make sure I'm only talking about the first 3 episodes in this recording. And I plan on finishing it. The coming off of Encanto and Vivo's gonna come. That episode's gonna come way later, okay? I'm not talking about Vivo anytime soon. But I was like, I'm watching a lot of Latinx content and digesting it, and I'm seeing a bit of visual themes going on here with the character designs, but I love the Maya and the 3 character designs probably the most, And I think when we get out of the Tekka tribe, that's when the designs get a bit more exciting, But anyway, the animation style is very fun. There's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of wittiness. It's just a fun, adventurous show. So I highly recommend it. I plan on watching it. If you watched it, let me know what you think in the comments. If you are considering watching it after I spoil the first 3 episodes, relatively spoil them, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. I have to say those things now. And I will catch you on the next time. Or will I? Because how will you find me? On social media at Simplyrobotics, the website simplyrobotics.com. And that's it. So, see you later.